first quarter of 2024, the rate of fraud and forgery in Nigeria's payment system rose significantly, especially with POS transactions. A report published recently even makes this a matter worth discussing. Plus, there is an emotional audio I want you to listen to at some point in the show. It's quite emotional, and I would like to ask you to get your handkerchief ready for that moment. Welcome to MarketSquare. My name is Oluwapelubi, and I'm happy you joined in tonight. I know this is titled NNPC versus Dangote. We're going to get to that matter in a moment. But for now, let's talk about the POS fraud. The Nigerian banking sector has long grappled with the challenges of financial fraud, which continues to evolve with times. The Financial Institution Training Center published a report of the fraud and forgeries report in Nigerian banks for the first quarter of 2024, and that showed how POS fraud cases surged by 31.12% in the first quarter of 2024. In 2023, from October to December, no less than 2,000 reported cases of fraud associated with POS terminals were reported, but the number jumped over 3,000 cases by the first quarter of 2024. Now, that's a lot. Of the 11,472 total fraud cases reported, POS fraud cases made up about 30.67% of that figure, with at least 376.59 million naira in the process. That was the amount lost given the fraud recorded in the first quarter of 2024. Now, in the fourth quarter of 2023, the total amount involved in POS fraud was about 604.91 million naira, and this amount decreased by 37.7% to 376.59 million naira by the first quarter of 2024. Now, I need you to listen to a young lady who was at some point a POS agent as she recounts her experience of POS fraud. Take a listen.
Working for someone, like I work for like 2 bosses, and there's nothing like that. Like I didn't even experience it at all. And I start working on my own, like my own business. So the first year, nothing like that. Then the second year, around I think around early last year, yeah. I was in the shop. Then this person came to come and meet me, wanted to transfer. Then he did the transfer. Then he said he want to withdraw, I think 100,000. Yeah, he said he want to withdraw 100,000. And I said, okay, but my money is not up to that. Nothing is going to like come back for the remaining cash. And I said, okay. Then he pressed his pin. Then I don't even know how it even happened, because that never happened to me before. So he pressed his pin. Then I cleared my POS back. I gave him the ATM card. I don't even know how it even happened. I didn't even check the receipts. Then I counted the money. I counted 85,000 and she come back for the remaining balance. Then he left. I think then up to 5 minutes. Then something told me to check my history. Then I checked my history and it was incorrect pin. I was like, ha. Once you check this, once you want to from like that's it for me. I don't even like. I was so speechless. Then I started crying.
Painful experience there recounted by a lady who was at some point a POS agent. In fact, if you listen to the ending part of the audio, she had to leave the business to do something else. Now, joining me tonight to discuss this is a financial forensic officer by name Mr. Success Ibitoye, as he joins to share thoughts on this. Welcome, Mr. Success Ibitoye. Now, we live in a cash-driven Nigerian economy. The convenience and efficiency of POS transactions have made them a popular choice. However, with every innovation comes the innovation on the criminal side of things. This widespread adoption has also made these POS agents a target for fraudsters seeking to exploit the vulnerabilities in the system. In fact, everywhere you go to now, you would find people do POS. Somebody is selling gari, she's doing POS. Somebody is selling slippers, she's doing the POS business. So let me ask you, why do you think the POS cases have increased from what it was, about 2,000 cases in the last quarter of 2023 to over 3,000 in the first quarter of 2024? What could have contributed to this significant increase in criminal activities when it has to do with POS usage?
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Oluwapelumi. It's good to be on the show. The increase in fraud cases in POS transaction in this first quarter of 2024 may be attributed to the widespread adoption of POS terminals by both merchants and customers, because POS operators are virtually everywhere, and most people, that's the means they run to get their cash. Everybody want to boycott having trek for some miles to bank, and or ATM points, just to stand on the queue for several minutes before it gets to you, and also dodge the counter over the counter withdrawal stress. So people run to POS, and these POS, they are everywhere. So since that's the means most people get money, it is expected that most financial what's it called, crimes, fraud too, would not elude them. So there's increase in the number of POS terminals. I think the statistics says that there are 47% increment on the rate of POS operators as against last year, the last quarter of last year. So people who are into fraud would want to patronize POS operators, because if they should go to the bank, there are CCTV cameras, there are more security set up on in the banking environment that may not enable them to carry out their fraud successfully. They will need to sign the teller. At least if you are withdrawing someone's money from the bank, of which I think is nearly impossible, you will need to sign, and they will verify facially as well. But unlike POS, all you need to do is, once you know the person's PIN, just pick up. If you have access to the ATM, you pick up their ATM and you go withdraw with the PIN, and the fraud is successfully done with little or no stress. So that is it. That's why fraudsters keep using POS to perpetrate their fraud, because it is easy to carry out that fraud.
It is easy to carry out that fraud because we have quite a number of persons in the business at the moment. Just while you were speaking, I did a quick search online as to how many POS agents we have in Nigeria. And given the data from TechPoint Africa, and this was published on the 6th of May 2024, having that there are about 1.9 million POS agents in Nigeria. 1.9 million POS agents in Nigeria. From the reports published, over 300 million naira was lost as a result of fraud-related activities. Now, I want to ask, what could the government have done to prevent this?
I think they should implement stricter regulations, when they enact and enforce laws that POS transaction would require, like, strict authentication and verification processes. Somebody cannot just pick your ATM card because they know your PIN and they go and withdraw successfully. Let them incorporate a kind of thumb printing, a thumb printing system on POS. Yes, fintech industry can do it. So you will know that nobody can, even if you authorize the person, nobody can withdraw your funds behind you. That's one. Two, they should also encourage enhanced security measures, because, for instance, WhatsApp use end-to-end encryption. So whatever you are doing, you are transacting on WhatsApp, nobody is infringing. So they should try that too with POS systems. So let whosoever is transacting with POS operator know that we have this right, this assurance that nobody, because we've been hearing cases of somebody would go to a POS operator, do their transaction, and would say a cardless transaction was done on that account via the information on the card. Something like the machine, you hear something like the machine scanned the person's card, or somebody there spying on the information on the card, something like that. But if they enhance their security measures, if they enhance the security measure, such will not be able to happen. And they should increase awareness, because some POS operators may not be skilled, may not be well oriented. They might be transacting business in a way that will be exposing people's financial informations carelessly. So, and government can also collaborate with financial institutions, to improve their POS systems. And like I said earlier, the use of thumb printing could be imbibed. So they should also promote cashless policies. Why you don't? It's not at all time you need to go and withdraw cash from POS to pay for your goods or services. They should promote cashless policies so that you can, from the comfort of your home, from your phone, you can, or everybody would get the fund. You can do seamless cashless transaction.
Speaking of cashless policies, I think the government over the years has made its attempt to promote that on many fronts, saying that we want you to do more of transfers than you would go to get cash from the banks. But I think one of the ideas you have mentioned, which is what speaking about again, is the one that has to do with thumb printing, because it sounds very, very brilliant in terms of the fact that the person can be tracked. So imagine somebody goes to a POS site, for instance, to do a transaction, and the person maybe used his or her thumb print, thumb, to gain access to his or her funds, and then that person can be tracked. That person can be tracked. Even if the person eventually leaves that place, the person can be tracked at every place that thumb is being noted, is being used for transaction. The person can be tracked and arrested in that light. So I think that's something that the government should even try to implement and adopt going forward from this particular point. And that was your response to the question of what can the government do, or what could the government have done to prevent this, and what can the government do going forward. The CBN recently even asked all POS agents to register with the Corporate Affairs Commission, and at some point there was this know your customer idea where they were asked some of Money Points, PalmPay, OPay, Kuda, these microfinance banks that operate on our phones, were asked to register and know their customers for themselves, and that was lifted. And the restriction of people operating the POS thing was placed for the deadline of July 7, 2024, before it was extended again by 60 days, just to ensure that more persons get to register with the CAC. The CAC even directed banks to yield to that directive. What is the position, or what is your position of this in reducing the possibility of fraud in months to come? Do you think this will help in reducing fraud in days to come, this registration move by the CBN and also in collaboration with the CAC? Do you think this will help in reducing fraud in months to come?
Yeah, the directive from the CBN to POS operators to, register with the Corporate Affairs Commission should do us more good, because it will enhance the accountability and transparency in the fintech industries. It will safeguard business and strengthen the economy. It will reduce this fraud we are talking about by ensuring that POS operators are vetted and they are accountable for every transaction they do. When they comply with the legal requirements and the CBN guidelines on agent banking, they are protecting customers from fraudulent activities. So it will improve the overall security and integrity of POS operators. So let me say the financial transactions with the fintech industries as a whole.
Okay, now final question on the show today. We know that there has been recent rise in emerging technologies like AI, machine learning, robotics, processing automation, advanced analytics, predictive modeling that may be helpful in detecting fraud. But as a start off, because people, we have different persons watching this right now. We have POS agents watching this right now. We also have individuals watching this right now who have been in the mode where they lost their money in the process of transacting. For the individuals, what are the precautions you can recommend to reduce the possibility of individuals being defrauded? Also, what would you recommend? I'm guessing that in your response to this question, you can also help the people who are POS agents to also understand how that they can safeguard themselves from this happening to them. I mean, you listen to the lady whose audio we played the other time, she shared about the experience, painful experience, I must say. The handkerchief is not here at the moment. It was quite painful to hear that from that young lady. So, what would you recommend that individuals do to avoid the possibility of being defrauded, and maybe by extension, touch on POS agents as well?
Yeah, I would say for individual precautions, people should be cautious with their personal information. You should protect your sensitive, your financial information, like your card details, your PIN, your IDs, everything. It should be secured. Then use secure payment options. Use secure payment options. Don't it might not be all times that you have to patronize POS to get cash and pay with cash. If the vendor you are purchasing, you are trying to patronize, accept transfer, pay with transfer. And also verify transactions regularly, because we will have report of it was successful, it was not successful, I've been debited but it's not successful. A lot of this. Always verify the status of your transaction regularly. Check the statement, what your bank is giving you, your payment provider is giving you. Ensure that okay, it was unsuccessful before you leave without collecting your money. If it is successful, make sure, even if the POS operator says the money has not landed in his account, make sure you collect your money before leaving. And also keep your cards and documents safe. Like keep it safe. Don't just be careless with it. And use strong passwords. Yes, I would emphasize on this. Use strong password. You don't have to, because you are born in the year 1994, your phone lock, the pin of your phone lock is 1994, your ATM pin is 1994, your transfer authorization pin is 1994, everything about you is 1994. Once people around you already know that, that's it. Like, it's easy. It's easy. They can just pack all your ATM, even if they have access to it. Let's say your wallet fell, and they just pack everything because they already know it's 1994. It cannot be more than that. That's what you have been using all along. So always change your password. Don't use one password for everything that you need password for. And also ensure you use two-factor authentication where they are possible, as a layer of extra security, like the thumbprint, like I said. As for instance, OPay incorporates fingerprints alongside with your PIN transaction if you are using the app. And also be cautious with public Wi-Fi. Yeah, people get information from devices connected to public Wi-Fi. That's just it. And also stay informed, stay up to date with the latest fraud scheme and security measures to counter them. Be invoked. Don't be caught unaware. Yes, don't be caught unaware. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Well, just to highlight some of the things you have said, Mr. Success Ibitoye, is you mentioned that people should reconfirm. And I think that advice works for both the person who wants to go and get money and also the POS agent as well. Somebody comes to your place to say, I want to do transaction, be sure, right? Use your app. Be sure. And I think there is this Money Point app. If you go to Money Point agent, whenever a transaction goes in, there is this sound it makes, do, right? So just reconfirm, be sure that the transaction has gone through. And also, I think you broke a big table there. You shook a big table there when you mentioned that people use their date of birth for their password and pins. I think many people do it. But if this is a call again to you to say you want to change that going forward so that you can safeguard your details and also ensure that you don't fall a prey to the hands of those who are fraudsters in that light. Mr. Success Ibitoye, who is a financial forensic officer on the show today, has shared insight with regards to this. Thank you very, very much for coming on the show today. We look forward to having you the next time. Thank you. Dear viewers, it's time for the numbers, and after that, we will talk about the NNPC versus Dangote. I know you've waited for that. Yesterday, the all-share index rose by 0.30% to close at 99,966.28 points, consolidating Friday's gain of about 0.20% at 99,671.28 points. Investors gained 167.10 billion naira as market capitalization rose to 56.61 trillion naira, while the year-to-date return stood at 33.69%. JITCO was the most traded in volume, contributing 18.46%, while Access Corp and FCMB followed behind. Now, yesterday, still on the foreign exchange market, the non-first rate appreciated by 0.06% from 1,570.52 naira per dollar to 1,569.62 naira per dollar, while the Beirut exchange rate depreciated by 0.51% from 1,550 naira per dollar to 1,558 naira per dollar. On Sunday, many Nigerians were shocked to hear that NNPC only owes 7.2% in the shares of the refinery as against the 20% earlier circulated. On the screen, you have a post made in 2021 in regards to the fact that NNPC was slated to desire to own 20% of Dangote Refinery. You have it on the screen there. It was said at the time that they owed 20%. And this was even before Dangote Refinery started operation. That in 2021, that the NNPC would owe 20%, would own rather 20% of Dangote Refinery when it commences. And you see that the NNPC to purchase 20% stake in Dangote Refinery with bank loans. Now, according to Mr. Lincoln Dangote recently, NNPC has only paid for a 7.2% portion and was expected to pay the balance in June 2024. However, NNPC declined to pay and to proceed beyond the 7.2% stake they have in Dangote Refinery. There's been issues with regards to how few would get to Dangote Refinery in many cases. It's been on ground for a while now. And it's a theme that has to be discussed. I think it has to be discussed again and again. NNPC has also confirmed. So when the news got out on Sunday, NNPC replied that they did a periodic assessment of their investment portfolio and had to reduce the amount they intended to put into Dangote Refinery to even get more shares. We also have to learn that earlier in the year, Dangote, the NNPC secured a loan from the Afrexim Bank, to be able to make some things happen for themselves. But it looks like NNPC at this time doesn't have so much money to put out in a system or a structure as Dangote has set up. Now, there's a post again made by Mr. Kalu on Twitter yesterday, where I saw on Twitter yesterday, when he was stating the fact that a serious Senate, National Assembly would invite NNPC to ask them questions. It says NNPC borrows about $1.036 billion to acquire 20% stake in Dangote Refinery. And there's also the report where it was said that NNPC, like I mentioned already, got about $2 billion from the Afrexim Bank to be able to buy more shares and have more stake in Dangote Refinery. But the news getting to us as at Sunday made it even more shocking to know that NNPC only owes 7.2%, and they have declined going beyond that, checking their investment portfolio. This is quite surprising. I only look forward to what will unfold in days to come, right? Because Mr. Lingo Dangote knows he's a businessman, and there's been issues around him getting fuel to his refinery, issues around how he will get the fuel to his refinery. He's been sourcing for fuel now from crude oil rather from America, from Brazil, USA and Brazil. He's been sourcing for crude from USA and Brazil over the time because he knows that his refinery has to keep working. In fact, during my research for the show, I found out that if you shut down your refinery for 1 month or 2 months, it will take you so much more to get your refinery working again. And so Mr. Lingo Dangote, being a businessman, knowing fully well that he's out to make profit, I wouldn't want to lose his money. I haven't invested so much money in setting up his refinery. He's seeking for crude from outside the country. Whereas we have the NNPC, who should be supplying Dangote refinery fuel, and they've not done it so far so good as best as possible. There are also issues around the international oil companies having issues with the federal government, having issues with Dangote refinery not wanting to supply as much as they should supply to him. And I learned the federal government has come into place to say we want to mediate between both of you and ensure that you're able to service this man's refinery as often as you can. So this is quite surprising, and only tells that if out of 100% shares in the company, you have just 7.2%. I mean, what can you do about things happening there? Except in the document that was signed when Dangote Refinery was about to begin operation in Nigeria, there's that part where the federal government has a say of what happens to an extent. But if you have 7.2% shares in the company, there's really nothing you can say with regards to the happenings there, except that the refinery is situated in Nigeria, and federal government could, just come in at some point in time to say, we don't want you to do this, we want you to reconsider this, and all of that. But that's that on the issue between NNPC and Dangote, and I'll be updating you as I get some more updates. But on the investment part now, Dangote Group Africa has announced plans to list its refinery and fertilizer plants on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, on the Nigerian Exchange Group, by the first quarter of 2025. I know investors listening to this now are quite happy and excited, because although the refinery by Dangote has been touted as Africa's largest and is expected to reduce Nigeria's dependency on imported petroleum products and also boost the Nigerian economy. In fact, it was said that the refinery will commence operation in the month of July 2024, but as it stands now, there's just a lot that has not been settled yet. I saw a press briefing by Mr. Lingo Dangote yesterday, the 15th of July 2024, when he was sharing ideas with regards to how far he has come with the refinery, And so they're supposed to commence operation in the month of July 2024, but that I really don't know if that will happen as fast as we hope it will. The fertilizer plant by Lingo Dangote is supposed to also revolutionalize the agricultural sector in Nigeria and across Africa, which will provide affordable and readily available fertilizers to farmers in Nigeria and also in Africa. This decision by Mr. Lingo Dangote to list his two subsidiaries gives Nigerians an opportunity to invest, to own a part of the stake in the business. Now, Mr. Lingo Dangote has a long history of listing many of his businesses on the stock exchange. Currently, he has his cement is there, his sugar part is there, his aligned food business is also on the Nigerian exchange board there. Now, cement in particular is the most capitalized company in Nigeria, boasting a market valuation exceeding 11 trillion naira right there. Now, this is coming barely 2 weeks. This announcement that intends to list the refinery and also the fertilizer part on the Nigerian exchange group there is coming barely 2 weeks after Dangote had been reported to have hinted of plans to dual list the refinery of the London and Nigerian stock exchanges. In May 2024, there was a report you see on the screen that Mr. Lingo Dangote, the Dangote Sugar PLC, sought to raise about 50 billion naira through commercial payment papers issuance of the Series 4 and 5 across different tranches. Now, and then after May, in June 2024, Dangote Sugar announced that it has issued Series 4 and 5 commercial papers notes to raise about 42.79 billion naira. There's a document signed by the Nigerian Exchange Limited and also by the company's secretary, by Temitope, her name is Temitope Azan, that there will be an issuance of commercial notes under its policy there to raise about 150 billion commercial paper issuance program. Now, there was also the revelation that Azan stated that the issuance was met with strong investors' interest and also attracted participation from pension assets and non-pension asset managers, as well as other institutions and some private investors. You want to know about commercial paper issuance, because this rush for the company's commercial paper issuance is easy to understand. Normally, commercial papers are not backed by collateral. So somebody wants, for instance, to get money from the people. It's not backed by collateral, but you have to trust. It's even called the unsecured loan. Unsecured loan. So the point is, a company wants to get money from the public and doesn't want to use any part of its assets as collateral to get the money from the public. What the company will do is to put it out there. But you know that depends on the company's credit worthiness. It depends on the how long the company has been. It can be a 6-month company, and then you want to get money from the people. That cannot happen. Yeah, and Dangote Refinery, Dangote Company is a large, well-established company with strong credit ratings, and also has very strong credit worthiness that has inspired the people and inspired investors to put in their money there, because they are confident that it doesn't matter what happens, they will get their money back. Apart from the listing of the refinery and the fertilizer, the company also has revealed it's targeting around $30 billion in revenues by the year 2025, whilst projecting to become the largest supplier of foreign exchange in the foreign exchange market in the future. And investors should be on the lookout for that, as it's happening soon. Now, before I go, I want to show you a circular made public by the NNPC there with regards to their agreement. There was a news at some point about the fact that the NNPC had it in mind to invest as much as 20%, get as much as 20% shares in Dangote Refinery. You have it on the screen where they had to answer the question using the project Gazo there. It's a frequently asked question about the $3.3 billion crude oil prepayment loans facilitated by the NNPC. This is the project that was just launched recently. He said there has been a lot of interest from the public and stakeholders in recent weeks regarding the $3.3 billion credit oil prepayment loan, also known as the Project Gazo. This is a financing agreement secured by the NNPC Limited to be paid to prepaid future royalties and taxes to the federal government of Nigeria. And this was done with, I think, the Afrexim Bank, so that what that means in clear English terms is that the NNPC has gotten some money from the Afrexim Bank, most likely, and they will keep supplying fuel or maybe crude to the Afrexim Bank for as long as that stands, okay, at equivalent with the amount borrowed already. Just like you have your prepaid, where you pay in advance. So the Afrexim Bank was likely has paid in advance to the NNPC to get fuel from them, but until the fuel supplied, until maybe the fuel or crude supply is at equivalent with the amount borrowed, the NNPC still owes the Afrexim Bank in that range. Yeah, you get the gist. So there's a lot to talk about with regards to NNPC and Dangote, and I've mentioned some points with regards to that on the show today. Now, on the investment side of things, I've mentioned already to you that Mr. Lingo Dangote has announced that it would be listing the refinery and also the fertilizer plant on the board as early as the first quarter in 2025. On the show today, we have discussed about the POS fraud and what to do. I had Mr. Success Ibitoye, who is a financial forensic officer on the show, discussing about ideas as to how people can protect themselves and also how POS agents can also protect themselves. I've also mentioned to you the issues with regards to Mr. Dangote and the NNPC as getting to know that the stake has dropped to 7.2%. And also mentioned to you that Dangote Refinery, Dangote Group intends to list its refinery and also the plant on the board as early as first week in 2025. So investors, be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for that. Thank you for joining me on the show tonight. Do want to follow us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram, and even on TikTok. My name is Oluwapelumi, where I look forward to seeing you on the next one.